sex, and relationship coach here with over a decade of experience, and I have helped change hundreds of lives in person and thousands and thousands of lives online, bringing my special way of relating to these kind of conversations, as well as years of expertise and research.
So we want to know whether you're struggling to connect with your partner on a deeper emotional level. And
If so, because a lot of couples have this, you're actually not alone, especially if you're a power couple and you guys work together, or if you have a family and you're working on creating your household or your business structures. Oftentimes, you may feel disconnected when there are points of friction.
yep. So in this video, we're going to share some transformative strategies that we've used ourselves and also with countless other couples and individuals to unlock deeper emotional connections and reignite their passions.
And we say reignite because it was passion that brought you guys together in the first place, right? So it's remembering that there already is a thread of passion and love that's been there from the beginning. And as life happens, things pile up, to-do lists take over, kids take over, work takes over, financials or stresses, and then we forget where that connection and thread has been, and then we think that it's lost or it's gone. But again, we're going to reignite that passion through emotional connection and intimacy, and help to also reinvigorate your excitement to be in a relationship.
Absolutely. So why don't we jump into it? How do we want to kick this off? Should we share the strategy we like to use, or?
Well, I think for now, what would be really fun is like even getting clear on like that this is something you want to do. First step is getting clear, like you want to actually put in the work and learn and grow in this way. So one key things that we're really all about is that we're not about like the quick fix where it's like, okay, just give me the thing, right? Give me the dopamine hit. We're all about the long game and the energy and effort and intention to pour into something that deserves it, which your relationship absolutely deserves it. Your desires, your needs are so worthy of the space and the growth and the commitment and the investment and the energy that we're inviting you into. So first, it's getting really clear that you want to know the secrets, but you're also willing to do whatever work it is to dive deep, to move past your resistance, because there will be resistance, resentment, resistance to doing it. Sometimes we don't want to go first. We don't want to lead or preempt the conversation when it comes to an emotionally charged topic like love and intimacy, because we may be afraid of feeling rejection or pain or disappointment or being misunderstood, right? But when we get really clear that this is a must for us, that we must shift our relationship, that we must feel the passion and the joy and the intimacy together, then it's way easier because now you're not thinking about it. You're just in action, you're in motion, you're inspired, right? And love is really leading the way. So I would say that's one of the very first steps to even reigniting, is having that mindset shift and that energy shift inside of you, and how you're holding this conversation and this discussion is like number one. So that's secret number one, y'all. Secret number one.
So you got to get, and you're spot on with that. And so you have to get really clear on the reasons why this is important to you. So, and again, it's easy to skip over this stuff, like obviously, but if you're not doing it and you're not investing that time and the effort, and you're just going for those quick dopamine hits, you actually don't have strong enough reasons to do it. So you got to really dig in and be like, make all those connections
Yeah.
as to why it's really important. And this is where I like how you said where it's a must, because it's
Yeah.
really, we get our must, but we don't get our shoulds. And most people have shoulds for their relationships, for their finances, for their business. But if it's not a must, it's not a standard. So you want to make this a standard for your relationship.
Which is another part of the secret number two. You got to raise your standard in relationship, right? Your emotional standard, your energy standards, your intimacy standards, and no longer choose to just settle on where you have been, and get really clear again on like where you're going to go, and set the standard and raise the bar, even if it's 1% of experiencing more connection, more intimacy in our everyday life, right? And that is the second secret is like really raising your standard and raising the bar for intimacy. And again, that's going to be up to you to decide individually, but really we support having a conversation together, right? And that's a part of everything we're saying. Like the secret sauces to making this work isn't just independently, I'm going to do my work and that's it, and I'm going to show up and now I'm expecting him to read my mind or be aligned. He can't read my mind, and doesn't mean we're going to be aligned on every single thing. But if we have a conversation about it and we open it up, that number one means that we're valuing our relationship enough to create a conversation that this is important enough for us to explore and discover. And again, there may be points of contention or resentment, but that's where we get to show up again for the common goal of bettering and reigniting our relationship and our intimacy, and come back to being together as a team, right? As a team.
Yep. And you're so great at this. You're great at leading on this and moving through the friction points, because there's got to be friction points, right? But again, you're great at like breaking through that right away, because the longer you let that fester, the more it's going to build, right? So you really consistently coming together, consistently communicating on what that looks and feels like, because it's true, we can't read each other's minds. I can't read her mind either.
Even though I want you to, but sometimes
sometimes I can, sometimes I know what's going on.
Sometimes you're really great with that, but that's again because we've got emotional attunement. And what we're sharing with you all is a possibility to know like what's actually available on the other side of where you have been, by starting with those first few secrets that we've given you thus far. And then like what we're saying now is, in the beginning, it will take one person having the courage of heart to lead from the heart, which like from the heart is to act courageously. So like that is a part of the piece, is to move courageously from the heart and knowing that your intentions are really pure to bring more love and more joy. And usually there's going to be one person that might start the initiation process, but then it really creates, and here's the next secret, y'all, safe space for communicating, where we're not attacking each other, we're not shaming, we're not blaming. We're creating a really safe space to be in the inquiry and the exploration of what are our needs, what are our desires, where are our unmet needs, right? Where are we still holding on to resentment or stories? And it's creating a safe space, both one in myself, so I'm not reactive to whatever Naeem's coming to share with me, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm taking it personally, or he's such an asshole, or how dare he thinks about me this way, right? That's reactive. He's not going to want to share vulnerably like I want him to, which would make us feel closer, right? And vice versa. If I'm sharing with him, hey, this is my model of the world, or hey, this is what I believe or how I operate. If he's like, you're wrong, or this is the only way to do it, or you shouldn't think that way, you should think this way, that's going to shut me down, and that's not going to create emotional intimacy and re-spark deeper passion, right? It's going to have me close, and then as a result, the masculine is going to feel me close and he's going to close. And now suddenly the thing that we're wanting, which is deep closeness and to feel like I'm so chosen by him in all of me, and he feels so chosen by me and all of him, creates the opposite, right? We create a polarizing, negative polarizing effect, which only draws us farther and farther and farther away from each other. So what we're sharing here and what we're about to share is a strategy specifically to make sure that you're actually coming closer together. One of our missions and goal here with Peak Love is to really create, educational content and coursework and programs that really brings and draws couple closer together, to use polarity as a way to celebrate our differences, to draw us naturally closer together, which is what polarity does, versus the opposite of polarity, which can also totally repel and push each other farther and farther and farther apart. And that's what a lot of couples have experienced, even ourselves too, when we bring our things to the table. It can be so polarizing that it seems so different, and we seem like there's pain points and contentions. But actually, with the steps that we're sharing and these strategies, is a way to move past those friction points, to come back into the fun and the innocence and the sexiness and the intimacy that we all want and crave, which brings us closer together.
Yep, spot on. So why don't we share the one of the tools on how we do this and how people can do this?
So we started alluding to it already. And so here's the next secret for those of you that are paying attention. Dun, da, da, da. What you celebrate appreciates. What you celebrate appreciates, right? That one down. If you are celebrating yourself, you appreciate yourself more, right? If I am celebrating myself but not celebrating him, he's not going to feel as appreciated in my presence, right? Because I'm all about me. I'm all about my desires and my needs and what I need. And I'm appreciating all the things that are going on in my world, but that's still very me oriented. It's shifting it to really celebrate my partner, to celebrate all the ways that he's my hero. And hero, not because I need rescuing, but hero because he's providing for me in ways that he likes to provide for me, in ways that I don't necessarily want to provide for myself. Like he's my trash hero and he's my dishes hero. And he's so many other kinds of heroes that we won't share all the details on here. But I make him feel like my absolute hero for doing all the things that, sure, I could do. I'm a whole being. I could do those things. However, how great it feels to receive support and to be provided for in a providership, not just monetarily, which a lot of the world thinks like men must provide only, right, or primarily through monetary, which he does as well. But we're shifting that dynamic to deeper love and intimacy to celebrate all the other ways that your partner provides for you, especially as a female. It's like, wow, look at all the ways that your man provides for you, right? Opening the car door. Ah, thank you so much. Locking it up, holding my things, carrying the groceries, organizing things, creating systems and structures. Like, wow, thank you so, so, so much. And letting him feel so celebrated in that, right? That is a huge key to creating deeper intimacy because he can feel like my genuine appreciation for the gifts that he's giving to me. And he's going to want to give me more of those gifts because I'm appreciating more of those gifts. And that's just a really, really beautiful ripple effect of how that would work. And same thing for, let's say, a masculine man with female, right? He loves me nourishing him, right? And what else do you love, babe? I'll let you speak.
Well, I think it's also important to, from my point of view, when you do that, it makes me want to do it even more, right? So it's kind of like talking about dopamine, right? It's like, oh, I got a point. I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to do more. Right? I'll take the trash out more. So it really does. It's a self-fulfilling cycle when you build that habit. And most people, they have the opposite habit, right? And I was guilty of this too. It's where it's like, I point out the things they're not doing that I want them to do. And that's literally just training them to like not want to do anything for you.
Great point.
So,
Great point.
and that's another talk by itself on how to address those types of things. But this is where, again, when you start to appreciate, you start building that self-fulfilling cycle in a good way. So if with me, with Josephina, it's interesting because I didn't, it was like, she does a really good job at like teaching me to point out these little things. I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal. Even for me, right? When I do things for her, I'm like, it's not a big deal. But now she trained me to be like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Like, I do appreciate that she appreciates me. So now I do a much better job appreciating her on the small things that I think aren't a big deal that she does for me, which are a big deal and I appreciate so much, right? Like
Yeah.
she sweeps the floor. She makes sure I have like lotion on my face and my skin is clear and like isn't dry. So she makes sure that I have like my vitamins and my minerals and all these things I never would do for myself. So I love now appreciating her for doing that. And then again, same thing. She does so much more of that for me, which is cool because I'm enhanced in so many ways that I wouldn't have been before. And I don't even have to do anything for it.
And I feel again on that side, like, wow, my natural intrinsic feminine gifts of nourishment is well received. And the women want to feel seen, we want to feel celebrated, right? And we really want to feel honored and heard. And so when you reflect to each other all these little things again that seem like not a big deal, but wow, does it go a huge mile when we're so used to ignoring or not taking a brief moment to track, right? This is called tracking. We track so many things. We track our money, we track our business, we track all these